Yo, what's up? This is Mr. Green. You're listening to Jigga Juice Radio. Jigga Juice. Check it out. jjuiceradio.com. Boom. Live from the streets.
Mr. Green, thank you for being here on Jigga Juice.
Hey, no problem, man. Thank you for having me. The Jigga Juice.
Hell yeah. How long have you been producing now?
It's been a while. I'd say it's close to 10 years since I've been pursuing it and really trying to make it my job, my thing. I started in high school DJing, and then I wanted like my own beats to scratch to instead of scratching to other people's beats. So that's how it started, to make my own beats. And then people who rapped would ask me, yo, can I rap to that? Can I rap to that? And then it progressed from there.
And what is your technique? What do you use?
Right now I use the Native Instruments machine. Before that, how I got started was on Cool Edit Pro and Fruity Loops. So I would, just take like MP3s, chop them up in Cool Edit Pro, slide it into Fruity Loops, chop it up 100% on the grid. All my beats were like perfectly quantized. And then it got a little bit boring. I made real dope beats on Fruity Loops, but it got a little boring. So I started messing with the machine, and I love that thing. The machine is awesome.
But a lot of producers use Fruity Loops. Ninth Wonder, does he still use only Fruity Loops?
I think he still uses it, but I've seen videos of him using MPCs. I've seen videos of him using Machine, having Pro Tools. I think if you're good, it doesn't really matter what you're using. It's just what you're most comfortable with. So Ninth is probably real comfortable on Fruity Loops, but if you put him in front of whatever, I seen him actually in a video just with Serato, hitting the hot points and making a beat like that. So Ninth Wonders is dope.
As a producer, who are your role models, the people who inspired you to produce?
For hip-hop, mainly DJ Premier. I would always hear those scratches, and I wanted to be able to scratch like that. And then I didn't even realize he was doing all the beats. I thought it was just a guy who was scratching. And then I found out that the same dude who did the DJing also made all the beats. I was like, yo, I want to do that. And then like general music, Lee Scratch Perry. He's Bob Marley's mentor, and I got to work with him a couple times. He's just like a madman, basically, a madman. He doesn't seem like he's from Earth. He walks around all crazy. He wears crazy clothes, all these different colors. Like, he doesn't really even have conversations with people. He just speaks what's on his mind. But then he's got this ability, I guess, to make people play their best or do their best. So whenever Lee Scratch Perry's around, all the musicians just want to kill it. And I think that's kind of what it takes, more than like having good beats or being able to sing or anything like that. If you are the type of person where when you're around, people become inspired and want to do their best, then you're a great producer right there. You don't even need to know how to work the equipment. If you know how to get people excited and, you know, when he's around, I just want to do hip hop. If you're that person, you could be a producer.
Yeah, some people have this aura around them, and they're just full of inspiration. But how did you get into hip hop anyhow? How did you discover it?
I always liked it. I always loved hip hop from when I was a kid. You know, Beastie Boys, Run DMC, and then I only knew like the very basic like Biz Markie, Run DMC, Beastie Boys up until I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14. When I started, Wu-Tang would cross my path, and then I would be like, not only listening to the Wu-Tang album, but I'd be like, who's this Killer Priest guy on the Jizza album? Who's Capadonna? And I would just start researching that, and then, you know, you would hear like a Fat Joe, and you'd be like, but who's Big L? Who's that guy rapping with Fat Joe? And then when I started paying attention to things like that, I think that was the, you know, reading liner notes and wanting to know who produced what and who was DJing, what studio was recorded. That's when the wanting to do music came about. I didn't realize it, but when I was 12, 13, 14, I was like researching what was going to be, you know, my life. I was just having fun, you know?
It's crazy because you just described the same process that happened to me, because for me it was like with 2001. Like I listened to a bit of hip hop before, but you know, it wasn't that big in Israel. But then I discovered Eminem, and through Eminem I got to Dre, to Snoop Dogg, to the Dog Pound and all of that. So same process. I would download, it was the Napster days. I would just go and download albums on Napster and find out who the artists are.
Yeah, the Napster days, people will say that they were bad because obviously the music industry kind of crumbled as a result. So they were bad, but I think it made it so people of that generation, which I was, you know, if you're between the ages of maybe 12 to 25 when Napster was popping, your music collection is not just going to be the mainstream artist. You're going to know everything. You're going to know whatever type of thing you'd naturally like, instead of only having like MTV and the radio to choose from. So I think Napster made it so people have more diverse interest in music than they would if it didn't exist. So it's pretty good. Napster overall is a good thing. Like, people are more interesting because of it, even though artists make way less money.
Yeah, and I can tell you that not only me, a lot of people, they downloaded the stuff on Napster, they liked them, and they bought them. I still buy CDs. I'm a dinosaur in that manner. But also, then you hear the artist, and then, I mean, I guess not in Israel because not many of them came, but if you hear the artist online, you download the stuff, and then you see the artist is in town, so you might actually go to the show and help the artist make money.
I think it's a good thing. You can your music spreads way faster than it ever would have if this digital revolution didn't happen. So I'm a fan of it. Livefromthestreets.com.
Gotta do the plug. And now you get to work with quite a few artists, and I'd love to ask you about some of them and the process of working with them. So let's start with a former interviewee of mine, R.A The Rugged Man. How did the two of you get together?
I was already doing stuff with Jedi Mind tricks. I lived in Philly for about 3 years. And while I was there, my boy Jimmy was like, yo, Jedi Mind tricks is going to be hanging out at this bar. You got to go to the bar. So I went to this one bar and met Vinny Paz and everyone. And they were like, all right, we need some beats. So I sent him these beats. And then the first beat I sent actually ended up being Design and Malice, which is like the big, I guess it's not the biggest Jedi Mind tricks song because they've had huge singles, but it's like the biggest music video. It's got like 10 million views or something like that, and they, when they perform it, it's like huge, crazy response from the crowd. And R.A heard that, and I guess he saw my Live from the Street stuff I was doing around the same time. Right around the same time when Design and Malice happened, I also started this show, Live from the Streets, sampling street musicians, and that caught on. And then R.A hit me up like, yo, I seen what you're doing. Can you send some beats? So I sent him beats, and then it just went from there. We really got along well, and like everything we do together ends up being good. So it's like a good, I don't know, just works. Sometimes you meet these people creatively who, when you get together, good stuff always comes out of it. Some people, you'll sit with them for 10 hours and have nothing, and other people, it just flows, and he's one of those type of people.
And he's been advocating you ever since, hasn't he? I see him on Facebook. I follow him all the time. He has posts about Mr. Green.
Yeah, I really have to shout out R.A The Rugged Man, not just for being a great musician, but like I have a lot of fans online, like Facebook likes and all this stuff. And I would say more than half of them are because of R.A The Rugged Man. And I'm on, these huge networks, like with my show Live from the Streets. It goes on TV, and it goes on some of the biggest YouTube channels or whatever. And this one dude, the underground rapper, gets the most fans for me. So it's cool. It's cool to see like the underdog. That's how I view these guys, like R.A The Rugged Man and Jedi Mind Tricks. They're the underdog. They're not the ones that the mainstream media wants to win. They're not playing by anyone else's rules. But like if you go to one of their shows, it's 1,000 screaming fans. They're rock stars, and they did it really their own way. They weren't like, oh, well, this is popular right now. Let me see what's trending. I'm going to write about that. They do what they love and what they know, and yeah, they rock it out. So shout out to R.A, Jedi Mind Tricks. I do a lot more stuff than just that, but that's one thing that I'm proud to be a part of, this kind of underground subculture of hip-hop. But it's not a small, sometimes when you say underground, it means like basement, 7 people at the show. Like, no, these dudes perform in front of 70,000 sometimes, and it's awesome. It's awesome to know them.
You did albums with 2 members of the Outsiders, 2 separate albums, Pace One and Young Z. How did that come about, these albums?
Well, the Outsiders are basically how I got my start. I was doing beats online, and somehow Pace One rapped on one of them, and it came out really good. I was like, yo, I got to work with this dude more. So I would go out to Newark and work on music with Pace, and that ended up becoming The Only Color That Matters Is Green album, which came out in 2008. And they say it's a classic, underground classic. I think we'll know that in like 17 years. You can't really tell if something's a classic 5 years after it came out, 7 years. Like if people still talk about it 10 years, 20 years after it came out, and then you can start saying that. But me and Pace One made a solid album. He introduced me to Young Z. And we made a solid album called One Crazy Weekend. we made it in one crazy weekend, which is kind of nuts. And I'm still cool with them. I haven't been doing that much music with Pace and Z. Pace just put out a solo project, and Young Z's doing an album with Tame One. But yeah, those are my homies. They basically showed me the good and the bad of the hip hop game. They taught me what it's like to be in a studio till 5 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 10 in the morning. It's like, yo, it's tomorrow. Why are we still in the studio? Shut up, Green. Keep recording. So yeah, those dudes really put me on, and after working with them, now I'm prepared to work with the big artists. You know, I had to start with those dudes, outsiders. Shout out to them.
You have to do one with R.A Digga now to have the whole crew.
Yeah, R.A Digga came over here not that long ago with Young Z, and we were kind of talking about it. She's actually a school teacher now, which is cool. You know, like these people are just so interesting. Like the outsiders, they could do anything. Like Young Z's a rapper. You know, he's done some gangsta shit in his day. He goes farming and hunting, and he does a lot of outdoor stuff. He knows how to build houses and fix cars. And Pace One is an amazing rapper. And all these people were at one point close homies with Eminem. Like they came up with Eminem. And Pace One knows the insurance game. He can rap. He's actually produced a couple big tracks. People don't know that Pace One has, with production credits, like he's produced for Eminem. He's produced for himself. He did a beat that Redman rapped on. And then Jigga is, you know, she was rapping 7 months pregnant. And that's how she got her deal. I think it was at a Lyricist Lounge show. She was killing it, 7 months pregnant. And there were videos, or the story went around, and that's how she ended up signing with, I want to say, Elektra Records, and ultimately Flip Mode, because of how she was killing it pregnant. That's multitasking if I ever seen it. So now she's still, you know, a legendary rapper. Sean Price's only female rapper he can listen to, which is you know, that's an accolade in itself. And she's a school teacher. So yeah, shout out to Jigga. I should do an album with her. It's a good idea, man. If I do, it's because of this show.
I want to shout out on the album. But by the way, you mentioned the outsiders, so you know they did get, I think, at least one moment of big mainstream recognition when they did that amazing track with the Fugees, the cowboy track. That's one of my favorite on that album, on the score.
Yeah, I mean, it still blows my mind to this day that I know people who are on the Fugees album, the score. And I don't just know them like a little bit. Like I know them really well. They come over. I've like hung out with these people a lot. It's like, I just want to be like, what was it like? What was the studio like where you recorded it? What did it smell like? Like, what was it the morning? Was it night? You know? And I actually do have a little bit of insight on the Fugees album just from knowing them. They told me that they roughed the whole album out. Rough means when you record the whole album, like a rough mix, you know, someone's basement, someone's living room, like not in a big studio. They had already made basically the whole score album by themselves. And then they went into a big studio and re-recorded everything. So it's just crazy to think. It wouldn't have sounded nearly as good, but these people, like, it wasn't like, oh, that's a good band, we should put them in the studio with a huge producer and he's going to make them great. It's like, no, those people are great. All you have to do is mix and master it and put them on the right microphones. And yeah, the Fugees they're probably the best rap group of all time. Well, you know what? I'll say the best. I don't know. It's hard because there are other rap groups, but other groups don't have the singing element. And the fact that these people play instruments, the Roots could match with them, but they don't have a Lauryn Hill in the Roots, you know? If Black Thought could sing also, then the Roots could fuck with the Fugees. Shout out to Black Thought. I know them too, but I'm for the Fugees more.
And that brings me to another project you're doing. If you mentioned the Roots, you're doing something with Malik B now, the former Roots member, or is he still a member?
He's on and off. I think he's probably at this point a former member, but you never know. He might pop up on their next album. Yeah, I do this show Live from the Streets where I go out and I sample street musicians and turn those street musicians into hip-hop songs. I try to have moments with them, like living moments with the street musician. Then I take that moment home and sample it. And while I was out doing that, I was at the Roots picnic a couple years ago, and I was playing beats on my lap, and a dude came up, yo, you got a mic? I want to rap to that. What is that beat? And it ended up being Malik B from the Roots. So we had this moment where I hand him the mic and we were just jamming on the street. And he's like, yo, why are you outside? I was outside of the Roots picnic with a couple friends. And he's like, why are you outside? Why aren't you inside? So he gave us all passes. And the next thing I know, I'm backstage at the Roots picnic. I was just performing on the street, and then I was backstage at the Roots picnic, which was a pretty surreal moment. And I do big stuff like that kind of regularly, but it's still always like, I'm like, damn, I'm just a fan of the Roots, so to actually be here with them is mind blowing. So yeah, then Malik and I started working on an album, and it came out in February. It's called Unpredictable on Enemy Soil Records, and it's dope. I'm real proud of it. But the best part for me is that it really came off of a street encounter. Like, I was rocking out to my beats in front of a show. He starts rapping. We exchange info, and now there's this album. It made it to Billboard and like the top 100 on Billboard, and it was successful too. So I don't know. It's cool how something that people actually put out there and exists in the big music world was started from just like two guys kind of, oh, hey, you like beats? You like rapping? Oh, all right, cool. Let's mess around for a minute. And now it's this thing that people can hold in their hand and,
It reminds me of a lot of these old school hip hop stories that you hear. It has the same essence, I think, of things that started spontaneously, things that started on the street and somehow made it to the big leagues.
Yeah, there's something very exciting about music and like the human element, not the, when there's an agent and he's like, I've got this hot new artist and you should really check him out. No, you're the hot producer. We should put you guys in a room together. And it's kind of, great music can be made like that, but it's just a little bit contrived and phony compared to like when the musicians naturally find each other. A lot of time it happens when a musician friend will be like, yo, you should do a song with so-and-so. You should do a song with so-and-so. That's cool too. But imagine if the people really just through life, not through the music industry, just bump into each other and we're like start working out of nowhere. It's just organic. It's beautiful.
That's what New York in the 90s was like, wasn't it? Where all the rappers were just here, like, and you come into D&D studios and rappers would be sitting there and just collaborations would have been created on the spot.
One bad thing about the digital society we live in is that everybody has their own studio, so there aren't like these hangout spots. Back in the day, D&D used to be a hangout spot. That was where Premiere worked, and DITC, and a lot of the early Duck Down records came out through there, the Beat Miners. And yeah, like they had a pool table, and if you weren't recording, I'm pretty sure you could just be up there playing pool. So, Nas might be recording or whatever, and then Bumpy Knuckles is playing pool, and Premiere's in one room, and DITC's in the other room, and Fat Joe comes through, Big L, whatever. Yeah, the collaborations would happen in like a organic kind of hangout way. They might be playing pool against each other and be like, yo, we should do a record, And now, because, everyone has a studio in their house, artists don't end up in the studio together unless they're planning on doing music. The whole hangout thing is not the same. Oh, I got one interesting story I have to tell that is similar to this but different. I heard when ODB's mom told me this, that when they did the Ghetto Superstar record, he was at the studio, but he was supposed to be recording in a different room, a different song, and he was like walking through the hallway and heard the Ghetto Superstar beat and just dropped whatever else he was doing and starts writing with like scraps of paper. And then Maya was singing, and she like heard Dirty outside yelling and just, but it sounded amazing. Like, yo, I think ODB's outside the door, like yelling and singing to this beat. So they opened the door like, Dirty, come on in here. And he ended up on the Ghetto Superstar song, which is like one of the biggest songs of the 90s, pop-wise, It's a huge pop song. And that's cool that happened in almost like a hangout, unplanned, spontaneous. It was like a mistake. It's like, Dirty, you're not supposed to be in this room. What are you doing in this room? I'm on Ghetto Superstar. I don't care what you say. And then it ended up working, So it's like go against the grain. That definitely wasn't set up by an agent. The agent who set that song up was probably like, we're not supposed to have Dirty on that record. Yeah, I don't know. Random story.
But this is an amazing story because I love it when I know that, when I hear a collaboration track, just knowing that the artists were there together in the studio, it has some added value, I think.
I can just picture it in my head. Like Dirty, I don't know what he was wearing or whatever, but he was probably wearing some crazy 90s clothes, like a red-ass bubble jacket and some red Timbs or something like that with crazy hair and I imagine his notebook was not the most organized thing, so there's probably papers flying everywhere, and he's just like on a nice carpeted floor of a studio when there are desks all around. I'm sure there's a desk that he could be working at, but no, he had to sit like basically on the floor outside the door of this thing, almost like a kid, like during playtime. You know, like kids don't sit on desks and have good posture. They just sit on the floor and scribble. But that, I don't know. There was something so natural about the way that dude used to work. The Dirty, you know, he was unconventional, but you could tell everything came from inside, and he wasn't like trying to do what people wanted him to do or anything. He just did what he wanted to do.
I think the only thing we have that's close to ODB these days is Danny Brown.
I like Danny Brown's antics. Shout out to him. You know, there is a lot of ODB influence stuff on the radio now. I don't think he gets enough credit for this. Like whenever you hear Young Thug or one of these guys be like, they do that broken singing thing. I think it was originated by Biz Markie with I Got a Friend, because he's not a good singer, but he's really good at singing on that song. It's like if anyone else better at singing were to sing, "Oh baby you," it wouldn't have been what it is. So it's great. And Dirty, I think, carried that tradition on and might have even perfected it with his oh. And nowadays, yeah, it's like really, really, really popular to sing badly on the radio. And I like Fetty Wap. Shout out to Fetty Wap. I like the music, you know, but he's not like singing on beat or in key. He's off. It's wrong, but it's beautiful. Yeah, and I think Dirty should get, you know, these dudes who sing like that should be crediting Dirty as one of their influences. I hope they are. I don't really fuck with Young Thug, but I do like Fetty Wap. I think he's cool. He's from Jersey, and he's got a unique sound to him, you know. But I think, yeah, we need a Fetty Wap ODB tribute or something. Because come on, man, he started that.
Out of the deceased rappers, is ODB the one you would like to work with the most? That you wish you could have worked with the most?
ODB or Big L. ODB because of his personality and his character and just like being around him and how unique he was. Big L because he could rhyme, like those bars that like a little 4-bar Big L rhyme. Every single syllable would rhyme, and the whole entire thing would make sense, and it would sound so smooth. And it was like I think Big L was a better rapper than ODB, but ODB was a better character. Like I'd rather watch ODB perform, but I'd rather listen to Big L spit bars. So yeah, both of them. And I got to work with ODB posthumous, I guess. I don't know if it's been announced yet or whatever. I'll just say it. We did a ODB episode of Live from the Streets for the new season, where his best friend gave me like 4 hours of footage, and I dug through it and found a part where he's rapping and he's singing. So we've got an ODB episode, and then we linked up with his mother, who's on the episode also, and his son. Shout out to Bar's son, Young Dirty Bastard, who's dope. Well, he can't really rap the normal way. He can rap like his father, like the crazy way where you yell a lot, and I love it. I love listening to Young Dirty Bastard. So yeah, those two, ODB and Big L. And I do get to work with Big L too, because I have a lot of acapellas, so I'll do like remixes at home. And if you look up my Live from the Bedroom, there's like Big L rapping on my turntables. But he was so good. Big L was so good.
Definitely, every verse would have been was fire.
100% of the time.
And so we talked about the deceased rappers, but let's talk about the live rappers. Who's next on your agenda? Who are you planning to work with?
Wow, I really want to work with Nas. You know, I want to work with Nas. I've done some stuff with Mass Appeal, and one of the upcoming episodes has Dave East, who's Nas's artist, and he's dope. Dave East is really dope. So, you know, I'm hoping we do the banging episode with Dave East and Nas sees it, and he's like, yo, I got to jump on one of those. So, yeah, Nas would be cool. Rock Marciano's dope, too. You know, I just saw him the other day at Sean P's memorial. I didn't talk to him. I wasn't trying to go meet everybody and talk to everyone that day. But I saw him. He saw me. I was like, all right. Next time I see you, I'm going to talk to him about doing some music together because he's dope. Well, I'm blanking, man. I don't know. There's a lot of good people out right now. A lot.
And any solid plans to work? What's next on the agenda?
I got a reggae album with my boys Above the Rest, ATR. We just found them while doing the Live from the Street show. They were singing in Prospect Park in Brooklyn. Amazing, amazing reggae. And I know reggae. It's not my background, but I know it. Like, I've worked with Matisyahu a couple times. I worked with Lee Scratch Perry. I listen to it a lot. Like, I know it. And these dudes are incredible reggae artists, and I think that'll go. And then I got a EP with Afro. We did like 3 songs. He's doing an EP with Marco Polo and a full album with DJ Premier. And somewhere in there, maybe after the Premier album, I don't know, me and Afro got something. And then more stuff on the Rugged Man album. Probably more Jedi Mind Trick stuff. And mainly just Live from the Streets, though. Live from the Streets, the new season, is going to be the big thing. Everyone will see that everywhere, you know. I don't even know where it's airing yet. But it looks like television, which is very exciting. Because this project started like in my apartment. In my bedroom, basically, when we were living in Philly. Just messing around with cameras and microphones and trying to make good hip-hop and give street musicians a chance to be seen. And now it's pretty much going to be a TV show. And it's like a crazy feeling. I love stuff like that. When you know it started in someone's house or in just a part of their life playing around, and then it becomes this thing that is seen all over the world. It's beautiful. I can't even describe it as cool as it is, but it's one of the coolest things ever.
And you mentioned working with Matisyahu, so that's maybe a good time of talking about your Jewish roots.
Oh yeah, me and Matisyahu, he actually asked me to do a whole mixtape, and I did the whole mixtape. It was like a year ago, 2 years ago. It never came out because of label stuff, but yeah, I might get to do a full project with Matisyahu at some point, which would be so crazy, so crazy. Yeah, I'm Jewish. I went to Solomon Schechter up until 3rd grade, I think. And I had a bar mitzvah. I'm not really practicing too much these days. Like, I went home for Rosh Hashanah and we had a family dinner. And I believe, though. I have belief, and that goes a long way. And on the show, Live from the Streets, it's not, I wouldn't call it a religious show at all. But compared to most things in hip-hop, if you were to watch that and then read the Bible, we follow the rules for the most part. It's I don't want to say that it's holy, but we make a point to not make anyone look bad, not disrespect anyone. It's just like my grandma can watch it. Like, it's a hardcore hip hop show, but my grandma can watch it, and I never asked my rabbi what he thinks of it, but I think he would like it. So boom, rabbi and grandma approved. Live from the Streets.
Rabbi and grandma stamp is always good.
We got the hip-hop stamp from the streets, and we also have the grandma stamp, and we also have the rabbi stamp. Boom. Who else can say that?
Nailed it. By the way, there's starting to be more and more Jews in hip-hop, I think. I mean, we had the Beastie Boys, of course. There's Alchemist, there's you. Now, Mac Miller, he's also Jewish, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Mac Miller and Action Bronson are both Jewish. I read that, and I heard them say it before, so... Yeah, those dudes are good. Those dudes are both dope, big-time rappers, kind of keep it real, like on the, you know, they appreciate traditional hip-hop, original hip-hop, and they keep that going on a big level. So, good dudes to have in the game. And shout out to Alchemist, too. I met him before. He was mad cool. Oh, he did the Israeli album.
Yeah, Alchemist was in Israel. He was on the show.
Oh, Alchemist was on this show? Dope. I'm proud to be on the show now that I know Alchemist was on it, too.
Ever thought of doing some work with Israeli MCs?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to. I only know how to count to 10 in Hebrew and say sheket bavakasha. When I was in Solomon Schechter, I was a little bit of a crazy kid, and the teacher would always say sheket bavakasha. So I have a limited vocab, but I know when hip-hop sounds good. And from what you played me, I heard a couple dope voices. So yeah, I'm down. I'm down to work with some Israeli rappers. I got to go out to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and do a couple Live from the Streets episodes, actually. So we got to make that happen.
Yeah, and you're welcome to swing by the studio when you come there. Mr. Green, thank you for doing this interview.
Yo, man, thank you for having me. To everyone listening, thank you for listening. Check out Live from the Streets, the Unpredictable album with Malik B, Afro, The Future.
Peace out.
Boom.